You know, I have to say I'm not much of a wine person. I'm more of a beer guy, I would say. But what I really love are very interesting wine racks. I've always wanted to build like one of those ones you put on the wall that holds maybe, 3 or 4 bottles of wine that you use now and again. So I thought today we could build a very simple version of a wine rack, and it involves some of your creativity. The design that I came up with is very simple, and it's actually rustic. And that creativity part I was just talking about comes in the form of you beating up this wood. We're going to put dings and dents in it to really make it look old and age the wood. Now, the wood I chose is just regular old pine. You can use whatever you want. And the first thing we're going to do is actually cut these pieces of wood to length. Now, the length that I came up with is based on literally lining up 4 bottles of wine and coming up with that number. So let's go out and cut these right now. The weather was pretty nice, so I decided to do my work outside. You can see that this wood is tongue and groove. I'm using it for the back of the wine rack, and it's just a design choice. So we'll measure to 18.5 inches. I'm cutting these pieces at the same time with my miter saw. That way I'm assured they're all the same length, and it saves time. Here I'm using an adjustable square to make sure the ends are nice and flush. Then I'll use this handy onboard clamp to hold everything in place while I cut. Now if your miter saw doesn't have one, any clamp will do. It's just much safer to clamp it down than to just hold it with your hands. By the way, if you don't have any of these power tools I'm using, most home centers will do all the cutting for you. Next, it's time to cut out what will become the side pieces and the shelf. Now, unlike the tongue and groove material I'm using for the back, these are just flat pieces of 1x5 pine. I'm also making one extra piece. I always like to have this just in case I want to change the design or in case I make a mistake. Now it's time to head over to the table saw because the shelf that will actually hold the wine has to be a little bit narrower than the width of the wood I bought. So I'll cut it to width, otherwise known as ripping the wood. Now, it's always a good idea to use a push stick, like this homemade one I'm using, to push the wood through, rather than risk getting your hands too close to the blade. Okay, now comes the fun part. We get to beat up the wood. Now to do that, we're going to grab some tools. You can really use anything you want. I don't know, I'm going to grab, I think just a screwdriver is good, a hammer. Let's do an awl. I really like using this awl for some holes. And then we just come over and we just really go to town on it. There's really no right or wrong way. Okay, we have one more thing left to do, and that is to drill a couple holes because I'm going to be using brass in our wine rack, and the brass is actually going to go in here and it's going to act as a little barrier so that the wine doesn't fall out. So we need to drill those 2 holes. Now I want to make sure both of these holes are perfectly vertical. To do that, I'm going to use this drill guide, and this will give us a nice vertical hole that will go through both pieces of wood. This is an older one, but it will still do the job. Here are the marks for the 2 holes, and much like I did when I was cutting the wood, I'm stacking them on top of each other because I need 2 perfectly aligned sets of holes in each of these pieces, which are actually the sides. So I'll line them up, clamp everything down, and drill. Now if you don't have one of these drill guides, you can just do it freehand and use a square to make sure you're nice and vertical. Okay, now here are the beautifully drilled holes that are the perfect size to accept our brass rod. Okay, the next step, start staining. And because we're using stain here, I'm going to put down some craft paper to protect the workbench. and put on some rubber gloves. Now I'm using a water-based stain for a few reasons. One, it dries pretty quick, and two, there aren't as many fumes as you'd get with an oil-based stain. As always, make sure you stir the stain well before you use it. To apply the stain, I'm just using a rag, but you could use a foam brush too. The reason I'm doing it before I assemble it is because this wood will inevitably expand and contract due to changes in the humidity, and when it shrinks, I don't want any unstained wood showing, especially here on the tongue of the wood I'm using for the back. Now, the most important part with the method of making the wood look old is to make sure the stain gets deep into all those dents, dings, and holes we made earlier. So really make sure it soaks in, and then follow with long strokes to blend it in and remove any excess stain. When it dries, these areas will be darker than the surrounding wood, giving it the effect we want. I'm applying stain to all sides of the wood to make it uniform looking, and here I waited a bit to let it dry before flipping them over to do the back sides. Okay, the staining is now done. We'll wait about an hour and then we'll come back and we'll start the assembly. Okay, after a nice lunch, it looks like everything is good and dry. Now I can get rid of the paper so we can get to work. So we've got the extra piece, which we'll push aside, the shelf, the two sides, and of course the three pieces of tongue and groove that will make up the back. I'm going to kind of dry assemble it here. We've got the back, the sides, and of course the shelf. Now the reason I'm dry assembling it is because I want to get an exact measurement for the brass rods that will fit into the holes I made earlier. So I'll just position one end and mark the other. Brass is really soft, so I can easily use a hacksaw to cut right through it. I like these smaller hacksaws for cutting small material like this. It just makes it easier to manage. Now you'll get some sharp edges on the cut, so I like to smooth them, and 60 grit sandpaper does the trick. Okay, now we can start the assembly. The first step is to put the back, the tongue and groove part, together. The tongue just slides right into the groove of the piece next to it. And sometimes, it takes a little extra love to get the pieces to fit together. The next step is to position the shelf. Now in my case, I'm going to keep it up about 3 inches from the bottom. I like leaving this area underneath here in case you want to hang wine openers or other accessories. I'll clamp it together to hold everything, and with this speed square, I can check to make sure the shelf is nice and square with the back and the sides. And a few taps of the hammer helps it along. Now we can flip it on its side. I'm using glue and screws to put this together, but before I bring in the glue, I'm going to pre-drill all the holes to help prevent the wood from splitting. And I'm using our good old friend the awl for this, just because it's easier to see than a pencil mark. We're screwing into just 3/4 inch thick wood, so I really need to be precise where I drill the holes. The next step, pre-drill with this countersinking bit. And our speed square comes back for a little more help, this time to line up my holes for the shelf. The next step is to carefully remove the clamps, take the side pieces off, and add my glue. This is just regular wood glue. Now it's just a matter of putting the side back in position and driving in the screws. I'm using screws that sort of look like brass just to match with the brass rod. Speaking of the brass rods, now we can slide them into place. They fit snugly, so friction should hold them in. A few taps of the hammer, and we're done. Now, you don't necessarily have to put wine in here. You can use anything that's in a bottle that you use on a regular basis. But whatever you put in here, make sure that when you hang this, you drill directly into studs, because this definitely does have some weight to it. I made it as simple as possible because I want you to use your creativity to make it just how you want it.